Oh, Tobago, what a wonder you are! Standing on the edge of the world, getting ready to lead the world. An island of all season, who have given us the tools, insight, foresight, and grit to make it better. Yes, bigger, better, brighter, further, faster, more fruitful, and as we look toward a new horizon, more competitive. So, let's talk development. As the waters of the Caribbean Sea wash our shores, so too does the state-of-the-art fast ferries in our own ATP James and Boca Reef. Not only have these investments alleviated the inter-island travel circumstance, but it has also provided new ways to connect both islands in a more effective manner. Health and well-being have been treated as top priorities. The innovatively established pink and blue rooms have created safe, focused spaces on the well-being of both men and women across the island. People-centered, purpose-driven. That is your PNM administration. From Crown Point to Charlottesville, development lives. The Charlottesville Mini Mall will transform the way both local and tourists interact with and share in the Tobago experience. Positioned as a multi-tiered, multi-purpose commercial center, the mall will create a thriving business environment in the heart of Charlottesville and will manifest diverse opportunities and space for residents to realize profitable business ventures. Community centers are the live wires of communal activity on the island. With an interest in human and fiscal resource development, these centers have been spread across the island to give you more access, more avenues, and more opportunities. All children stand at the source of our focus. From recess to success, the infrastructural investments made will transform the 21st century Tobago child's learning experience. The island's national security apparatus has seen new promise and new prominence. From foundation to finish, the new housing of Tobago's security administration, personnel, and operation have created an extended pool of access to the communities they serve and the island at large. We have developed a comprehensive plan to hone and invest in our own natural resources. Our aim is to become a leading supplier of every natural resource that can be extracted from right here on our 116 square miles. We are committed to infrastructural, technical, and human capacity development required to ensure Tobago's regional and international leadership and impact. Easy access, effective usage, and developmental actions that can stand the test of time. Our focus on public utilities articulates the core of our continued plans to ensure that our home, Tobago, is a space of value. The time ahead of us is one that will ask for us to reflect closely. And as we do, let us walk together confidently into the next season of our development. This is your Tobago. From Crown Point to Scarborough, Roxborough to Lambo, we will take Tobago further, and we will do it together. We got this.
Come. Oh God, Granny, we ain't reached yet. Not yet. Nah, Granny. I need to stop. It's too much.
You ain't shame. You're young and strong and can't keep up with a old woman like me.
But Granny, you're accustomed to this road. I ain't know about this.
That is why we're doing it. I tell you already, you have to learn to drive from the drivers who drove before.
Granny, but we ain't driving. We're walking. And the sun hot. I should have a shorter route. I fed up, Granny.
Your generation want things too fast. Change takes time. Take all your time.
When things taking long so, Granny, I just move on to the next thing. I don't have time, Granny.
You have time to listen. I want to teach you something. Come. Just look and listen. This is what I wanted you to see. This is yours, but you have to protect it and develop it. And that takes time and dedication. But when you only think about the destination, you could forget about the journey. This route ain't no shortcut. This is the only route in the right direction. Any other route, stopping short and don't know where to go again. On this route, I see what we have to protect. On this route, the path is clear. Come. Come.
It's real nice. And look where it's growing.
That is because it's not just a pretty flower. It's a symbol of perseverance, strength, and hope.
Perseverance, strength, and hope. I like that.
You see why we take this route? You think you would have seen all of this in your fancy car? You ready to go? Let's go.
But Granny, you never tell me where we're going.
To protect your future. Come on. We got this.
We got this.
We got this. Hey.
Tobago, what a wonder you are. Standing on the edge of the world, getting ready to lead the world. An island of all season, who have given us the tools, insight, foresight, and grit to make it better. Yes, bigger, better, brighter, further, faster, more fruitful, and as we look toward a new horizon, more competitive. So, let's talk development. As the waters of the Caribbean Sea wash our shores, so too does the state-of-the-art fast ferries in our own ATP James and Boca Reef. Not only have these investments alleviated the inter-island travel circumstance, but it has also provided new ways to connect both islands in a more effective manner. Health and well-being have been treated as top priorities. The innovatively established pink and blue rooms have created safe, focused spaces on the well-being of both men and women across the island. People-centered, purpose-driven. That is your PNM administration. From Crown Point to Charlottesville, development lives. The Charlottesville Mini Mall will transform the way both local and tourists interact with and share in the Tobago experience. Positioned as a multi-tiered, multi-purpose commercial center, the mall will create a thriving business environment in the heart of Charlottesville and will manifest diverse opportunities and space for residents to realize profitable business ventures. Community centers are the live wires of communal activity on the island. With an interest in human and fiscal resource development, these centers have been spread across the island to give you more access, more avenues, and more opportunities. All children stand at the source of all focus. From recess to success, the infrastructural investments made will transform the 21st century Tobago child's learning experience. The island's national security apparatus has seen new promise and new prominence. From foundation to finish, the new housing of Tobago's security administration, personnel, and operation have created an extended pool of access to the communities they serve and the island at large. We have developed a comprehensive plan to hone and invest in our own natural resources. Our aim is to become a leading supplier of every natural resource that can be extracted from right here on our 116 square miles. We are committed to infrastructural, technical, and human capacity development required to ensure Tobago's regional and international leadership and impact. Easy access, effective usage, and developmental actions that can stand the test of time. Our focus on public utilities articulates the core of our continued plans to ensure that our home, Tobago, is a space of value. The time ahead of us is one that will ask for us to reflect closely. And as we do, let us walk together confidently into the next season of our development. This is your Tobago. From Crown Point to Scarborough, Roxborough to Lambo, we will take Tobago further, and we will do it together. We got this.
Come.
Oh God, Granny, we ain't reached yet.
Not yet.
Now, Granny, I need to stop. It's too much.
You ain't shame. You're young and strong and can't keep up with a old woman like me.
But Granny, you're accustomed to this road. I ain't know about this.
That is why we're doing it. I tell you already, you have to learn to drive from the drivers who drove before.
Granny, but we ain't driving. We're walking. And the sun hot. I sure have a shorter route. I fed up, Granny.
Your generation want things too fast. Change takes time. Take all your time.
When things taking long so, Granny, I just move on to the next thing. I don't have time, Granny.
You have time to listen. I want to teach you something. Come. Just look and listen. This is what I wanted you to see. This is yours, but you have to protect it and develop it. And that takes time and dedication. But when you only think about the destination, you could forget about the journey. This route ain't no shortcut. This is the only route in the right direction. Any other route, stopping short and don't know where to go again. On this route, I see what we have to protect. On this route, the path is clear. Come.
It's real nice. And look where it's growing.
That is because it's not just a pretty flower. It's a symbol of perseverance, strength, and hope.
Perseverance, strength, and hope. I like that.
You see why we take this route? You think you would have seen all of this in your fancy car? You ready to go? Let's go.
But Granny, you never tell me where we're going.
To protect your future. Come on, we got this.
We got this.
We got this.
Tobago, what a wonder you are. Standing on the edge of the world, getting ready to lead the world. An island of all season, who have given us the tools, insight, foresight, and grit to make it better. Yes, bigger, better, brighter, further, faster, more fruitful, and as we look toward a new horizon, more competitive. So, let's talk development. As the waters of the Caribbean Sea wash our shores, so too does the state-of-the-art fast ferries in our own ATP James and Boca Reef. Not only have these investments alleviated the inter-island travel circumstance, but it has also provided new ways to connect both islands in a more effective manner. Health and well-being have been treated as top priorities. The innovatively established pink and blue rooms have created safe, focused spaces on the well-being of both men and women across the island. People-centered, purpose-driven. That is your PNM administration. From Crown Point to Charlottesville, development lives. The Charlottesville Mini Mall will transform the way both local and tourists interact with and share in the Tobago experience. Positioned as a multi-tiered, multi-purpose commercial center, the mall will create a thriving business environment in the heart of Charlottesville and will manifest diverse opportunities and space for residents to realize profitable business ventures. Community centers are the live wires of communal activity on the island. With an interest in human and fiscal resource development, these centers have been spread across the island to give you more access, more avenues, and more opportunities. All children stand at the source of our focus. From recess to success, the infrastructural investments made will transform the 21st century Tobago child's learning experience. The island's national security apparatus has seen new promise and new prominence. From foundation to finish, the new housing of Tobago's security administration, personnel, and operation have created an extended pool of access to the communities they serve and the island at large. We have developed a comprehensive plan to hone and invest in our own natural resources. Our aim is to become a leading supplier of every natural resource that can be extracted from right here on our 116 square miles. we are committed to infrastructural, technical, and human capacity development required to ensure Tobago's regional and international leadership and impact. Easy access, effective usage, and developmental actions that can stand the test of time. Our focus on public utilities articulates the core of our continued plans to ensure that our home, Tobago, is a space of value. The time ahead of us is one that will ask for us to reflect closely. And as we do, let us walk together confidently into the next season of our development. This is your Tobago. From Crown Point to Scarborough, Roxborough to Lambo, we will take Tobago further, and we will do it together. We got this.
Come.
Oh God, Granny, we ain't reached yet.
Not yet.
Nah, Granny, I need to stop. It's too much.
You ain't shame. You're young and strong and can't keep up with a old woman like me.
But Granny, you are accustomed to this road. I ain't know about this.
That is why we're doing it. I tell you already, you have to learn to drive from the drivers who drove before.
Granny, but we ain't driving. We're walking. And the sun hot. I sure have a shorter route. I fed up, Granny.
Your generation want things too fast. Change takes time. Take all your time.
When things taking long so, Granny, I just move on to the next thing. I don't have time, Granny.
You have time to listen. I want to teach you something. Come. Just look and listen. This is what I wanted you to see. This is yours, but you have to protect it and develop it. And that takes time and dedication. But when you only think about the destination, you could forget about the journey. This route ain't no shortcut. This is the only route in the right direction. Any other route, stopping short and don't know where to go again. On this route, I see what we have to protect. On this route, the path is clear. Come. Come.
It's real nice. And look where it's growing.
That is because it's not just a pretty flower. It's a symbol of perseverance, strength, and hope.
Perseverance, strength, and hope. I like that.
You see why we take this route? You think you would have seen all of this in your fancy car? You ready to go? Let's go.
But Granny, you never tell me where we're going.
to protect your future. Come on, we got this.
We got this.
We got this. Hey, we got this. Hey, hey.
Oh, Tobago, what a wonder you are! Standing on the edge of the world, getting ready to lead the world. An island of all season, who have given us the tools, insight, foresight, and grit to make it better. Yes, bigger, better, brighter, further, faster, more fruitful, and as we look toward a new horizon, more competitive. So, let's talk development. As the waters of the Caribbean Sea wash our shores, so too does the state-of-the-art fast ferries in our own ATP James and Boca Reef. Not only have these investments alleviated the inter-island travel circumstance, but it has also provided new ways to connect both islands in a more effective manner. Health and well-being have been treated as top priorities. The innovatively established pink and blue rooms have created safe, focused spaces on the well-being of both men and women across the island. People-centered, purpose-driven. That is your PNM administration. From Crown Point to Charlottesville, development lives. The Charlottesville Mini Mall will transform the way both local and tourists interact with and share in the Tobago experience. Positioned as a multi-tiered, multi-purpose commercial center, the mall will create a thriving business environment in the heart of Charlottesville and will manifest diverse opportunities and space for residents to realize profitable business ventures. Community centers are the live wires of communal activity on the island. With an interest in human and fiscal resource development, these centers have been spread across the island to give you more access, more avenues, and more opportunities. All children stand at the source of our focus. From recess to success, the infrastructural investments made will transform the 21st century Tobago child's learning experience. The island's national security apparatus has seen new promise and new prominence. From foundation to finish, the new housing of Tobago's security administration, personnel, and operation have created an extended pool of access to the communities they serve and the island at large. We have developed a comprehensive plan to hone and invest in our own natural resources. Our aim is to become a leading supplier of every natural resource that can be extracted from right here on our 116 square miles. We are committed to infrastructural, technical, and human capacity development required to ensure Tobago's regional and international leadership and impact. Easy access, effective usage, and developmental actions that can stand the test of time. Our focus on public utilities articulates the core of our continued plans to ensure that our home, Tobago, is a space of value. The time ahead of us is one that will ask for us to reflect closely. And as we do, let us walk together confidently into the next season of our development. This is your Tobago. From Crown Point to Scarborough, Roxborough to Lambo, we will take Tobago further, and we will do it together. We got this.
Come.
Oh God, Granny, we ain't reached yet.
Not yet.
Now, Granny, I need to stop. It's too much.
You ain't shame. You're young and strong and can't keep up with a old woman like me.
But Granny, you're accustomed to this road. I ain't know about this.
That is why we're doing it. I tell you already, you have to learn to drive from the drivers who drove before.
Granny, but we ain't driving. We're walking. And the sun hot. I sure have a shorter route. I fed up, Granny.
Your generation want things too fast. Change takes time. Take all your time.
When things taking long so, Granny, I just move on to the next thing. I don't have time, Granny.
You have time to listen. I want to teach you something. Come. Just look and listen. This is what I wanted you to see. This is yours, but you have to protect it and develop it. And that takes time and dedication. But when you only think about the destination, you could forget about the journey. This route ain't no shortcut. This is the only route in the right direction. Any other route, stopping short and don't know where to go again. On this route, I see what we have to protect. On this route, the path is clear. Come, come.
It's real nice. And look where it's growing.
That is because it's not just a pretty flower. It's a symbol of perseverance, strength, and hope.
Perseverance, strength, and hope. I like that.
You see why we take this route? You think you would have seen all of this in your fancy car?
May we please stand for the national anthem of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you, and could you remain standing? I want to call Mr. Joseph Frederick to ask God's presence on these proceedings this evening, Mr. Frederick.
The heads are bowed, the eyes are closed. Almighty God, we thank you for the opportunity of life. We thank you for the opportunity to be alive in this time and at this moment. There are challenges that face us all around, but we know that you, God, are going to see us through. We do pray at this time for our party. We do pray that you would help the leaders of our party as we work through to ensure that the Tobago that we are working and seeking to build, that Tobago is realized. We pray for our candidate, Mr. Lawrence Hislop. We pray that you may give him the energy, give him the words to speak, so that Mason Hall and Moriah would recognize that he is the person to represent and to stand for our area over the next 4 years. We pray for our Prime Minister. We pray for our political leader. As leaders, their duty can be challenging. We pray that you give them the vigor, the knowledge, the wisdom to lead Tobago, to lead Trinidad and Tobago as we navigate out of this pandemic. We pray for every single person in Tobago that you would help us to recognize the commitment that is required to building Tobago, the Tobago that we dream of. As you said, we need to occupy until you come, and help us to occupy in the right way. Continue to guard and continue to protect all of us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Please be seated. Good evening to all our People's National Movement supporters, members, candidates, all of Tobago, all of Trinidad and Tobago. Good evening.
PNM.
Let me hear you. Let them know that you are here.
PNM.
And folks, we are coming live on our Facebook page, the PNM Council, Tobago Council's page.
PNM.
Let me immediately welcome our political leader, Honorable Tracy Davidson Celestine. We are also on I-95.5. We are on 91.9. We are on 89.5. We are on Trico Channel 5. So, wherever you are, wherever you're listening, just tune in and be part of this educational series that we started about a week ago, where we bring to you political education. That is our platform, the one that educates everyone about what is happening in the political scenario in Tobago. And so, folks, let me immediately again welcome and recognize our political leader, the political leader of the Tobago Council, Honorable Tracy Davidson Celestine.
PNM.
Also, our public relations officer, our PRO, and still secretary for DIQE, Division of Quarries and in the Environment, Mr. Kwesi Diving. And right next to him is the man of the moment, the man who, come December 7th, well, on the night of December 6th, rather, would be the assemblyman for Moriah Mason Hall, Mr. Lawrence Hislop. And I see in our audience, we have other candidates, and ladies first. So I wish to recognize Secretary Marcelin Melville Jack for Mongrace. These names are a little confusing sometimes. Scarborough Mongrace. Let's give her a round of applause again. Let me get it right. Also, we have Mrs. Nadine Stewart Phillips the lady who will conquer on Roxborough, Argyle. And I see, yes, the man from Canaan, Crown Point, Bonnock Road, Crown Point. The man himself, Mr. Live Good, Clarence Jacob. And so, my brothers and sisters, I recognize you, members of the Tobago Council, members of the party, supporters, voters. Welcome, welcome to our series of education. And so, I want us to start with the same vibe that we had in our last meeting in Bell Garden. And I want to ask the sound system provider, play us a song. Play us a song. We have play us a PNM song so that people can start to feel the vibe.
Because I ready up for the task. Because I ready to come, ready to win, ready to vote, ready to make we name, all ready to fight hard and save God from up down to your yard. We don't pick we side, we ready to ride, yeah. Be the number the fire, be the number the energy, a positive energy, and the kind of damage. This side of fire, this side of energy, a positive energy, and the kind of damage. Show me that everything, show me that everything.
Thank you, Mr. DJ. And folks, I do something a little different tonight. What I have in my hand is the Constitution of the People's National Movement. I just want to read one little piece before we start. Because you are in a meeting of the People's National Movement. And we have to understand what that means and who we are. And in case we forget, because sometimes we need to keep reminding ourselves when these other people come against us. And I just want to just say, who is the PNM? And our Constitution says the PNM is a political organization pledged to the maintenance of the rule of law, founded upon democratic principles, basic human rights and dignity, and dedicated to the raising of the moral and material standards of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, and the promotion of their progress in all fields, political, economic, social, moral, and cultural. That is the PNM. And so I want to also just say, who is the Tobago Council? Because you have to understand that we are the People's National Movement, but we are also the Tobago Council of the People's National Movement, who is managing this Tobago House of Assembly elections. That's why we have our political leader here. And soon to come will be the national political leader.
PNM.
And so, folks, the Tobago Council, the Constitution says, within the provisions of the Constitution, the Tobago Council shall be the governing unit and shall be responsible to the General Council of the organization and administration and the control of party affairs in Tobago. And that's who the Tobago Council is. I want us to remember that as we go on, because it is important. We'll come back to it. Our speakers will speak to it. But I want you to know that we are the PNM. We are the Tobago Council of the PNM. And so we have the right to governance in the Tobago House of Assembly in the Tobago space.
PNM.
And so we'll get right into it. And I'll bring to you the Public Relations Officer of the Tobago Council. I'll bring to you a person who was just the candidate in the last elections. The man who has exemplified the statement, quality works for you. I want you to give it up. Put your hands together and let us welcome Mr. Kwesi Divines.
We don't want no bad vibes in the land. Because I ready up for the task. Because I ready to come, ready to win, ready to vote, ready to make we name, all ready to fight hard and save God from up down to your yard. We don't pick we side, we ready to ride, yeah. Be the number the fire, be the number the energy.
A special good evening to the people of Mason Hall. Mason Hall people, good evening. I say Mason Hall people, good evening. Let me say a special good evening and please give our Mason Hall welcome to our political leader, Mrs. Tracy Davidson Celestine, you put your hands together for her. And of course, Mr. Wesley Celestine. To all of our candidates here, and of course, the man of the moment himself, the man who will stand tall for you on December 6th and beyond. Mason Hall, Mariah, put your hands together for Mr. Lawrence Hislop. Of course, to all other party officers gathered here, everyone, you know, I wondered long and hard about what I would say when I get on this stage this evening. Unfortunately, I have to start on a solemn note. I want to pay homage at this time, recognition to someone who has departed, a cornerstone of the Mason Hall community, someone who helped to raise me. Miss Audrey Balfour, who was known as the scout leader for so long, and she held and molded so many young men in this community. And I want you all to lift up the Balfour family in prayer. You know, yesterday was International Men's Day, and someone asked me, what is it to be a man? And I told them, you know, growing up, I always wanted to be a man. I was obsessed. The first thing I knew I wanted to be wasn't a doctor, a lawyer, a pilot. I wanted to be a man. And there was this song, The Man with the Pepper Sauce is Boss. So at 5 years old, I was eating pepper sauce. And then I wanted a drumstick all the time because I realized it's only man and them used to get a drumstick, so I wanted to be a man. And I realized that was not it. But it's my grandfather who pulled me aside at some point and said, you know, Kwesi, being a man is about being able to take responsibility for your actions. And understanding that your actions do not only impact on your life, but on the lives of other people. And it took me a while to understand that. But now that I understand that, it gives me great pride, and I have no problem standing with men like Mr. Lawrence Hislop. And I can tell you, you know, some people came to me and said, well, Kwesi, what kind of man is Lawrence? And my paws raising now, and I tell them each and every time, if I was not comfortable, if I was not pleased, if I was not proud of the man who Lawrence Hislop was, I would not be standing here today. And I want to give the assurance to the people of Mason Hall, Mariah, that you have a representative, a man who will get the job done. You know, people ask me, will the work stop? Will the quality work stop? I say, no. You see the man there, he ready to stand tall for you. So when we went up to Fair Hill and they have a brand new road, when we go through even Church Street, brand new road, all the construction happening all over Mariah, all the walls building up in King Peter Bay Road, in Spice Lane, in Mason Hall, all over the electoral district, work is happening. You go to Bottom River, agricultural lands are being opened up all over. And we have a man who is willing to stand tall to ensure that this work continues. But I am speaking about responsibility, and I want to touch on something very quickly as a man. And you know, I'm looking at what's happening with Franca Cordner, and she's not here with us as yet. But I really have to ask some hard questions because I tend to look at things a lot deeper than some people. And again, you have to be able to take responsibility for your actions. And my question is, who has to take responsibility for what has happened with Franca Cordner? And some people would say, well, Franca, because Franca said that and Franca do that. Fine. But let's look at it. Franca was announced as a candidate way back in October. The prospective candidate for the PNM. She was screened way back in October. Yet only on nomination day, only on November the 15th, Monday, November the 15th, all of a sudden, the barrage began. Is video, is this, is that, trying to destroy a young woman. And you have to ask yourself, who is responsible? Who stands to benefit from taking down Franca Cordner? Who is most able to benefit from politically assassinating Franca Cordner? And while you think about that, I want you all to take your minds back a little more. Because in January, there's another assassination attempt. The assassination attempt was on Tracy Davidson Celestine. They went all about the place and said they have evidence and they have Auditor General report, and they go and carry this to the Commissioner of Police and that to the Director of Public Prosecution. I ain't hear no sirens yet. I ain't see no handcuffs yet. I ain't hear no evidence yet. It means that they just went out to assassinate the character of a good woman. And you wonder who stood to benefit the most from assassinating the character of that woman? Who stood to benefit the most because Tracy Davidson Celestin was lining up to be our first female chief secretary? Who else wanted to be chief secretary? And when you examine the facts and you wonder who has to take responsibility for trying to assassinate the character of those women, both Franca Cordner and Tracy Davidson Celestin, because only one man could stand to benefit from trying to bring down our PNM women like that, and you wonder where he would learn something like that, it's because his leader has a habit of doing the exact same thing. You don't have to go too far back to remember when he called the same Franca Cordner, and I'm looking at Melanie now, he called them stink and dirty. Where was Farley Augustine to stand up and take responsibility, to stand up and say that our woman as a man, that is not good enough? But you're ready to bring down, and you're ready to assassinate, and you're ready to destroy PNM people. If it's one time we have to stand up and do what is right, it's on December the 6th. If we have to stand up and defend our women, it's on December the 6th. If we have to stand up and defend Tobago, it's on December the 6th. If we have to stand up and protect our future, it's on December the 6th. Because we cannot allow any of them to see the halls of power in the Tobago House of Assembly. Because not only our women will be in danger, it is all of Tobago. Because you heard for themselves that they're talking about ex gratia payments. People talk about what is the greatest achievement. The PNM men do nothing. The PNM men do nothing. That is their road march. Well, that road march can't win nothing. Because we're standing in our PNM achievement right now. This Mason Hall Secondary School. I was in Mariah today talking to some people. One of the footballers who I grew up knowing for a long time. And he said, you know, people used to laugh at people in Mariah because all we games was away games. We never had a home game. Now one of the best football fields is in Mariah under lights. And you're wondering what the PNM do for Mason or Mariah. You have a brand new health center. I dare anybody to drive up to Mariah and tell me where the old health center was. If that is not progress, I don't know what is. And if you want to call that nothing, well, that is a big nothing that the people of Mason or Mariah are happy for day in, day out, because we're getting good service from the people of the PNM. And I don't want us to get carried away, because you see, the PDP really and truly is just a boys' club, you know. It's just a boys' club. It's not really a political party. It's one man's ambition. And you see, sometimes they get so bold now to feel to win the election already. The man driving up and down with 2 brand new Range Rover. And I tell the boys in Mariah, and I tell the boys in Mason all the same thing. When he get into Wassa, he climb on the backs of Wassa workers to get into power. All he could see is $16 million in contracts from Wassa. Well, he says for your wife contracting company, Blackstone. Climb the backs of Wassa people to fatten his own pocket and drive Range Rover all up and down the place. Imagine if he climb all the way back and get into the THA. You think he's looking down at all, to spit on all there at all? He don't even care. He does not care. So when I told the boys on the block in Broad Road, I say, when you see Watson come and try to give you $200 to tell you hold that, ask him where the rest. Because PSA asking for the money too. And Wassa asking for the money too. And we want to know all the money that you want to climb on way back to get from the THA, when we get in that too. Because you're trying to fool the young people in Tobago. You're trying to fool the young people in Mason or Mariah that you care about them, but you don't really care. For months since January, they run up and down and they say, yes, they're doing this for Tobago and they're doing that for Tobago. You can't see them yet. All of a sudden now they're giving out hamper today in Mason Hall. They're giving them money to bus cook in Mariah. all of a sudden, I could tell you what the PNM has been doing. As we speak, 10 young people are now farming lands, 1 acre of land right here in Mason Hall. Straight off the block, we put them to the test. PNM said, listen, what can you do? They said, we can do whatever you put us to. I say, you want some land? They take the land and now they're farming the land. And we could expect 1 acre of ginger coming from 10 young people in Mason Hall. And that is PNM performance. In Mariah, they say, well, put we to the test. We get some pigs for them, and they start mining pigs because they say Tobagonians love to eat the pork, Lawrence. I hope you don't mind. They said Tobagonians love the pork for Christmas, so they're going to have 60 pigs that they're fattening now to make sure that they can make some money at Christmas time. That is empowering young people, and that is PNM performance. Now, people asking, what really could continue to happen? And I want Lawrence to go through all of the things that we are realistically going to deliver for the people of Mason or Mariah. Because I can assure you, all the pipe dreams and the grand dreams that they are selling are nothing more than fool's gold. They are trying to fool us to ride our backs to get into the halls of power. And what you're going to tell them when they come? Not at all. So when people complain about, well, we ain't get the road, tell them, we ain't get it yet. When they say, well, we ain't build that wall there down in Adelphi, tell them, we ain't build it yet. The amount of young people we hired already, if they complain that the young person wants a job, don't worry. We ain't get a job for them yet. Because the PNM has a real plan. And you have seen it with the airport development, Sanders development, and Marriott. The PNM has a plan. And when the political leader talks about the 3,000 jobs that we are going to create, you would hear her talk about it because why? The PNM has a plan.
PNM.
So on December 6th, your job is simple. In Mason Hall, Mariah, I want you to stand up and stand up tall with Lawrence. In Scarborough, Mount Grace, I want you to stand up and stand up tall with Marcin Melville Jack. In Roxborough, Delaford, I want you to stand up and stand up tall with Nadine Stewart Phillips. In Lambo Lowlands, I want you to stand up and stand up tall with Keno Mackenzie. In Bethel New Grange, I want you to stand up with Rip Boy, Downey Marcel. Uncle Brian down there, stand up with him in Golden Lane, Lakito. Don't forget about Kelvon Morris, the man on a mission in the Darrell Spring Wim. Of course, we with Clarence Jacob, Mr. Live Good himself, but we're making sure we stand up with him in Bonaccord, Crown Point. The man, Mr. Born Ready, down there making a difference in Buku Mount Pleasant. We're standing tall with him. Boss Lady here on stage, Patience Hill, Signal Hill, don't worry, we're standing tall on December 6th. And I want everybody to stand up and stand tall because we have to defend everybody. And I can't forget my boy Punchin. You put your hands together for Punchin in Belgarden, Glamorgan. And I want everybody to stand up and stand tall because we're defending all our women. And when we're defending Franca Cordner, we're standing up tall in Palateville, Lance for me, Speyside. Stand tall with Franca Cordner. Because as I wrap up, some people don't like it when we say it, you know. Some people don't like us to say that we're great. But the reason we say that we're great is because we are about the people. So when we say great is the PNM, we are saying great is the people of Tobago. The PNM is a movement of people. The PNM is about developing people. So when we say great is the PNM again, we are talking about the great development that we are moving through the island of Tobago and Trinidad and Tobago. So on December 6th, in the evening when the ballots are counted, I want us all to stand proud as Tobago people, proud of our development journey. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. And we have prevailed. I thank you.
Yes, PNM coming and coming and coming again. On the 6th of December, the symbol is the Balize.
PNM.
The name of the party is the People's National Movement.
PNM.
And your candidates have been outlined to you in the various electoral districts. I want to just recognize and welcome Mr. Kenneth Thomas from Belgarden, Glamorgan. Kenneth Punchin Thomas, sorry. I forget the Punchin part, as his Calypso name. Eh? I also want to welcome Mr. Uncle Brian Thomas, Bethesda Lakato.
PNM.
And the man from Lambo, Lowlands, who they say walks in the footsteps of his grandfather, is it? Mr. Keynote Mackenzie.
PNM.
I believe I see Mr. Kelvon Morris somewhere. All right, well, Mr. Kelvon Morris, Darrell Spring Wim, you'll be here shortly. And so, folks, we continue to bring the education of the politics on our platforms. And we don't talk bacchanal and lies and all those stories. We tell you the facts. And every night when you come out, or you're listening at home, or you're on the social media, you will hear different things that we're going to do, things that we have done. You will hear different candidates, and every one of our candidates are able-bodied representatives who could speak for themselves and who can speak to the People's National Movement story. And so we are in Mason Hall, Moriah tonight, in the electoral district of Mason Hall, Moriah. And we have found a gentleman, a good standard bearer of this party. He's a farmer, a musician and singer, a preacher, a heavy equipment operator, and he's the next representative for Mason Hall, Moriah. Put your hands together. Stand up and welcome Mr. Lawrence Isla.
All are looking good. Yeah, them all are looking good. Have your seat. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Oh man, this hall full. PNM family, good evening. How you feeling? You feeling good? Let me recognize the presence of the political leader of the Tobago Council of the PNM and the next Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly. All you're clapping like all you're sure about that, you know. Mrs. Tracy Davidson Celestin and Mr. Celestin. All other council executive members, I recognize you and I pay due respect. My team, my fellow teammates, good night. My fellow teammates, good night. I am part of a team, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to recognize, join with Kwesi, in paying respect to Mrs. Idris Balfour, a woman who has done great exploits in Mason Hall, who has molded and fashioned young people, young men. You know, the Scouts and the Pathfinders have similar training. And it is about developing the young people into citizens, men and women for the future. And we want to recognize her with a moment of silence. And after we've done that, we will applaud her for her exploits in Mason Hall. So just pause with me for a minute to recognize her service. Let's put our hands together for Ms. Balfour. The family could hear us down the street. Let's applaud what she has done for this space. Not only Mason Hall, but Tobago. You know, it is with great pleasure that I welcome you to my home. Welcome you to Mason Hall. And I want to pause just a minute to also recognize the presence of my mother in the audience tonight, Mrs. Colleen Hislop. a tutor, a lady who has molded men and women in this village. When I walk the streets of Maysnall and Moriah, and they tell me that, well, your mommy teach me. Sometimes I have to do a double take, right? Because sometimes I have to do a double take. Let's just leave it right there. But when they say, when my mother has touched the lives of so many people, I feel proud to be her son and to be her last. A baby. I used to get plenty licks, but we're going to leave that for now. PNM family, welcome to the crisp, cold air of Mason Hall. Mrs. Marcelin Melville Jack could tell you about Mason Hall because she taught here for a number of years. You see, the question has been asked of me, why politics? Why get into politics? You're a good, upstanding churchman. You preach the word of God. Why get into politics? And I want to say to the persons who have asked me that question, and I want to rest it down tonight, that I continue my service to people from a political standpoint. The church has molded me and has fashioned my life and has made me into the man I am today, the church and my family. And it would be selfish of me to leave that service or to keep that service just for me and the church. It is time I come out and spread the level of service that I've given to the church to the people. And so it is a privilege for me to stand here to offer myself as your candidate, to offer myself in service to the district of Maysnall Moriah. You know, I see representation, and I give you representation that is real, representation that is practical, authentic, and tangible. Maysnall Moriah, I ask you tonight, have you received that over the last 10 months or so? Have you received representation that is authentic, real, practical, and tangible? I ask the question, but I want you to answer it. Representation is not just about bright light projects, but about the heart-to-heart conversations that bring life-changing results. When we spend time with our constituents, when we spend time with the people we represent, we get to understand who they are. And we are able to bring about change in lives. I can assure you tonight that I will continue in my service to the people. I would even take the service to a higher level. Because Mr. Devines has highlighted what the People's National Movement has done in Maysnall and Moriah. We don't know what the others were doing, but we know what the PNM was doing in Maysnall and Moriah for 10 months. And we will continue to do the work. We stand on the shoulders of people like Kwesi and Sheldon before us, who would have worked this community. I stand on the shoulders of solid men. The PNM Foundation is what I stand on. And I stand on that with God in front, behind, and at my side. You see, brothers and sisters, I have been serving people all my adult life. I know no other way. Meeting people and transforming lives, that's what I have done. Primarily among the youth. And you may ask the question, what is my vision for this beautiful space? This is where I call home. This is where I grew up. I remember the days when there was no school at Punch Bowl, when it was a cow pasture, when there was a track to take you from Sandy River to the grounds. I remember the day I stood at my parents' kitchen window, and remember the day when a particular gentleman in this neighborhood was arrested by some soldiers because he was... And this place, this Punch Bowl, was like a battlefield. We could stand and see the soldiers in the bush. That's what this was. And because of the People's National Movement, because of development, we're taking the road from Sandy River to Easterfield for granted.
PNM.
We're taking the lighted playing field at Easterfield for granted. And we're taking for granted the largest high school in Tobago for granted. Because we have gotten so accustomed. And I said to somebody, the PNM is at fault for being too good at what it does. Because we are so good at delivering, the expectation is so high that when it is not done yet, we have a problem. But patience is a virtue. Because we've been in power for 20 plus years, it is expected that everything will get done by that time. But if we've done all the work in 20 years, what is left to do? Development is a continuum. Development is not static. If you are a static society, you are dead. And Tobago is proven time and time again that we are a living society, that there is real people living in Tobago, and Tobago is a real place, run by real people. And so make no mistake, on December 6th, beloved, make no mistake. You see, I have been privileged to work in the private sector all my life. I never worked a day in the government sector. And so my work ethic is almost Pharaoh-ish. And sometimes it caused my own health to deteriorate because there are days that I worked non-stop without eating. That's been fixed now. But I want to say to you that working in the private sector has molded me into the person I am, where service and work ethic is concerned. I work 24/7. That's how I work. The only time I rest is on the 7th day of the week. That's the only time I rest. But when I'm working, as the people say, I'm working. You see, with a PNM administration in the THA, a PNM administration in Trinidad, and a prime minister from Mason Hall, and yours truly as your representative, this potential, the potential that Mason Hall has, will finally be released as a volcanic eruption. Not to bring about destruction, but with the power to bring about unmatched growth and prosperity in this area. Mason Hall, Moriah is just waiting to erupt. Whether it be in agriculture, tourism, community development, sport, youth, and entrepreneurial activities, Mason Hall, Moriah will exceed expectations under the astute leadership of the People's National Movement.
PNM.
When we talk about agriculture and farming, you look, I'm sure when you drove, some of you who came in earlier, you saw the vast land space that Mason Hall could boast about. And my brother Joel Jack, who was with us on Thursday, spoke about what he is seeing in Belmont Farm. What could take place in this space? We've done the access roads, and we will continue to do the agricultural access roads. Swamp Road will be developed, Adelphi Road all the way out to what's the street again up there? Up the Easterfield side will be developed. That's what we're doing. The work will continue under a People's National Movement administration. Farmlands will be developed with all the necessary infrastructure to facilitate ease of access to the lands. And they'll be distributed to farmers, so farmers could get into work. Further development on Indian Walk Estate, roads, lights, so that farmers could have easy access to go in and come out with their produce. That's what we're doing. The lands are already being worked, but we want to make the lands more accessible so that farmers could feel more comfortable going in and staying longer in those areas. That's what development is, a continuum. And we will encourage the formation of small companies so residents can earn profits instead of salaries. And I want to pause a little bit on that because we spoke about this at our spot meeting on Thursday. Too often we have young people and even older folks asking for jobs to get a salary. You don't get wealth by getting a salary. You don't get rich with a salary. The wealthy people live off of their profits. I asked the question in Broad Road, and I want to shout out the guys in Broad Road tonight, the crew in Broad Road who is watching. I want to shout them out tonight. I asked the question in Broad Road, you think Jeff Bezos gets a salary? These guys live off of the profits of their companies, and that's what we want to encourage in this space of Mason Moriah, where you form yourselves into companies. We help you make your company profitable, and then we leave you to fly. Industrialized agriculture, acres of high value produce to be processed into value added products. We are ready to put Cove to use. And I want the produce for the factories in Cove to come out of Mason Hall. I asked a gentleman on Friday, I said, if you get a good grainer planting, do you know how much chips you could get from that grainer planting? I am sure you could get about 4 or 5 bags of planting chips out of one grainer planting. And that's where we want to take the agriculture to. At a PNM meeting, we don't talk bacchanal, we talk issues. We talk life-transforming issues. Because when you move the farmer from the field and put him in the factory, or when you develop a factory for the farmer to sell his produce to, everybody benefits. Because I don't have to take my planting and go down in the market and look for sale. The man from the factory come into my field, get the bunch of planting, carry it down to Cove, cut it up, dry it, package it, Tobago planting chips. We don't want no more planting chips coming from Costa Rica. Industrialized. Acres of breadfruit. We have the space in Mason Hall. Acres of breadfruit trees that we could reap and make into breadfruit flour. Acres of cassava. This is the dream for Mason Hall, Moriah. And it is not just a dream of out of the blue, but a thing that can become a reality. We need to move from feeding villages to feeding countries. Yeah? That's what we need to do. Move from feeding villages to feeding countries. It's a means of earning foreign exchange. You export your produce. What do you get? They don't buy it with TT. Buy it with US. A full development of King Peter Bay fishing facility. Because that space could not only be an area for tourism, but also for serious fishing. All the fishermen in Moriah dock their boats in Castara. We want to develop a space in King Peter Bay that the fishermen can be comfortable. The lighting of the King Peter Bay Road will be a green project. All the street lights from the last street light in King Peter Bay Road all the way down to the beach will be solar powered. Because we are about transforming this community. And when I talk about farming, I don't talk about farming just from somebody tell me. It's something I do every day. My mother gave me the privilege, started me off in an egg production business that is doing excellent today, that it can employ somebody. That's what we're talking about. And you think every Christmas there are supermarkets on this island that have to bring up eggs from Trinidad. Why? We want to ramp up that kind of production. Poultry must be at the top of the list. I give way to the pork as well. I don't eat it, but I know plenty of people eat it, so it has money to be made from it. We want to encourage the pig farmers to get back into business who have left. Because there is money. Do you know how much money you can make from one pig? Well, so they tell me. But I did agriculture from a young age. When I worked at the bank for 7 years, the guys used to bring people by me to see the kind of sheep and goat I had, the quality of animal I had. And then I left that for a bit and I'm now into poultry. And there is room at the table for poultry farmers in Tobago. There is room. And we want to encourage people to get involved in farming. I want to hasten along. Don't want to keep you all night. There's so much to say about this district, the potential that this district has. Community development, 2002, 2008, there was a steel pan site that came out of Mason Hall. Them Boys Steel Orchestra. World music champions in Madison Square Garden. All you know that? How much all you know that? See couple hands. Yes, Uncle Brian gonna know that. We want to revitalize Them Boys Steel Orchestra. I hear him Pecky shouting in the back. Them Boys Steel Orchestra will be revitalized and reborn, and the first step in doing this is the construction of a new home for Them Boys. And they say you have to be in office to get things done. Well, I want to prove something to the people who say that. The construction of the Them Boys Steel Orchestra is starting next week. Partnerships is what we're about. You see, there was so much community spirit created by Them Boys. Kept people together, kept young men off the streets, kept them engaged. Some of the old people in the village used to say the pants are making too much noise. Not so, Pecky? But yes, but it kept the young people engaged. And that is what we want to do. We want to keep the young people, the young men and the young women. We want to keep them engaged, re-energize this community. And the new community centers are coming for Mason Hall and Moriah. You just make sure that the People's National Movement is where it is supposed to be on December 6th, December 7th, and the community centers, the multi-purpose facilities will come.
PNM.
They've been there since I was a little boy, and I'm sure they've been there since Mommy was young as well, yeah? So we're talking about tourism as well in this district. People may say, what may Mason Hall and Moriah have to offer with tourism? I propose, with partnerships, that this district become the home of eco-tourism on this island. We seek to create the environment for residents to become involved in tourism business as we make our beaches in Moriah fully accessible. Big Bay, as they call it, Cotton Bay now, and Celery Bay, and our rivers and waterfalls in Mason Hall become fully accessible. They say Mason Hall have no sea. We have sea because Moriah have 3. So we could adopt 1. You see, our district has the best of both worlds. We have beautiful beaches that people from all over Trinidad are coming now. The Cotton Bay is no longer a secret. And we have beautiful rivers, beautiful waterfalls. And we want to make these spaces open up. We want to create parks in these places, places where persons can sit, relax, have a time, and enjoy the space. You know, we have seafood restaurants, and I mentioned this on Thursday. We have seafood restaurants, and I want somebody to come up with a river food restaurant. I want somebody to come up with a river food restaurant in Mason Hall, Moriah. We're talking about some of the biggest mark and crayfish that's catching our rivers. If you want, during the hunting season, you're chucking a bit of wild meat in that too with some provision from Mason Hall. You have a river food restaurant. These are the kinds of initiatives we want to encourage in our district. A heritage park in Moriah. Heritage park. Having our old-time wedding and all its associated activities as something on a regular basis. The cruise ship's coming back, you know. They will come back, the tourists will come back. And this is a means of people earning some money. Because when the people come, because as a taxi driver for tourists, when we come up on this side of the island, everybody wants to go Englishman's Bay. We ought to have something in Mason Hall, Moriah that the people can stop and patronize. And the business people in our district could earn some revenue, some tourist dollars. That's what we're about. Brothers and sisters, the PNM track record of development is unmatched in the Caribbean and in other parts of the world. I made one mention, as I close, I made one mention of our intention to advocate for a fuel station in this district, and I see that the initiative ends up on our billboard with the wrong color. But not only would we advocate for it and work towards it being a long overdue reality, but we propose that this not just be a station for fuel, but it is designed and built for the future. We are a signatory to COP26, and we want this station to be built with the necessary infrastructure for electric vehicles, the first on the island. And we won't stop there. We want our young men and young women to be able to get training, and we're going to create the space for them to get training to be able to fix these same electric vehicles. There is so much more to be said and so much work to do. But let me end with this. The PNM stands together for Tobago and its people. We are here to protect this beautiful space we call home and each other. There is nowhere else for me to go. Me born here, now hear me are dead. I stand with the youth. And when I say that, I stand with my sister, Franca Cordner. Because, not only because she is a PNM, but because she is a young lady and a child of God. No matter what you have done, no matter where you stand, God sees you as his child. They could talk what they want about you. They could say what they want about you, but God sees you as his child. She will rise better from this experience. Franca, we love you. Let's protect this place. Let's protect this place. Brothers and sisters, I'm not here to shout tonight. I was here to talk to you about the plans we have for our district. And I want to say to you, make no mistake on December 6th. Those who are watching and listening online, don't take it for granted that somebody win already. Get out early. Get out early on December 6th. Get down to the polling station. And as I said on Thursday night, ram your X next to the ballot. But when you're ramming it, don't damage the ballot. Ram it so they know and they show that the People's National Movement is riding high and dry by midday, so that we can start to call it at 6:30 and 7 o'clock. That we have done the hard work. We've put in the development in this place, and there is no doubt that the party that needs to continue in governance of Tobago is the People's National Movement. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM, and we shall prevail. God bless and have a good night.
So keen. My brothers and sisters, you sat there and you listened to the man. I sit up here and listen to the man. The people in radio land and TV land listen to him also. The man good. The man great. This is how we just find candidates. My brothers and sisters, give it up for Lawrence, the next representative. That is representative. That is how people just talk. And I write down something here. Earn profits instead of a salary. Remember that. Start your little business, little egg business, or vegetables, whatever, and earn some profits. The man good. And please ensure that this gentleman bring these ideas into the Tobago House of Assembly after December the 6th by 14 PNM, and Lawrence is up in Mason Hall, Moriah. You can't want for nothing else. PNM. And so we're going to take a little vibe, because it's time for me to get some vibes, more vibes. And I heard a song when we just launched, and when we were launching in Shopper, and I heard the song drop. I said, boy, wait, that this is Carnival. And then I keep hearing the song. And I said, you see this song? This is the winning song. And we must sing this on the 6th, on the 7th, on the 8th, My brothers and sisters, I want to bring Miss Sharon. I want to bring Miss Sharon to sing for us. And you take a jump, Take a jump. And if you can't take a jump, sit down and take a rock, but don't damage your chairs.
You're ready? Mason Hall, how you feeling? We got this.
Hey, put your hands together.
Hey, we got this. Hey, hey.
I cannot wait on election morning.
Tell them why. Tell them why.
I'm dipping down to me elbow, darling. Hey, from space side to Canaan, we taking over this island.
For the reason.
Higher than higher heights is our limit. No, we ain't leaving. No one behind, we will not desert you. Come on, protect your future, and know we can do this thing. Yeah. So right now, Louis, fix up. Come now, while we bring up and we build Tobago as one. Tongue to country, they know we. The PNM Army is the way that we love. Demand representation. Hey, we got this. We got this. We got this. PNM. We got this. We got this. We got this. Whoa, 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 whoa. Listen. So many youths in service, and that's an honor. Yeah. You are my friend, my sister, and my brother. But what we gonna do? We gonna join up in the east. Big up cause we is family. Calling out everybody. See when we come together, unified and we're stronger. Stand at bearers who come to do this work. Come on. Cause every day we keep on the journey we keep on. When water run more than fire, not even what's a cost of this fire. God for stand up bearers, hey! And we fix up, come down while we link up. Bring a friend, we build Tobago as one. Tongue to country, then know we. The PNM Army is the way that we love. Provide representation. Let me hear you. We got this. We got this. We got this, PNM. We got this. We got this. Let me see the big flag posse. Roll it out. Who you voting for? Who you voting for? Who you voting for? Who you voting? On election day. Don't care what they say. Who you voting for? When they come and tell you anything. Who you voting for? Who you voting for? Who you voting for? Nadine, who you voting for? On election day, I could be waving my valleys, hey! Who you voting for? PNM, we got this. Yeah.
PNM.
Yes, we got this. I tell you, big tune, big party, big victory. People's National Movement. Vote for the PNM on election day.
PNM.
Remember, the symbol is the Balize. The name of the party is the PNM.
PNM.
And in Mason Hall, Moriah, the candidate is Mr. Lawrence Hislop. Give him a round of applause again. My brothers and sisters, nice vibes. And I know the people home rocking. And I know the people here rocking. And in Trinidad and Tobago, they're rocking.
PNM.
And so we're going to bring to you, you know, I remember my days as a member of the Tobago House of Assembly between 2005 and 2009. And the political leader was part of that team. And we used to talk. And we used to talk all kind of things. And the one thing we used to talk is how do we see the future of Tobago moving forward after the Orville London, after the this. And Tracy would always say, we have to ensure that Tobago is developed. And so I live to see that conversation blossom into fruit today. And it will blossom into more fruit on the night of the 6th and after the 6th. Yes, my brothers and sisters.
PNM.
This lady have been tried and tested. She have the experience, not only locally, but regionally. This lady have gone through proper screening and selection. She didn't get up one morning and form a party and put a symbol in her name. This is a leader that we have chosen through our process. And I told you about the Tobago Council. And I mentioned it because this is the only national party in Trinidad and Tobago where you could have two political leaders, a political leader of the National Party and a political leader of the Tobago Council of the PNM. We practice autonomy. I hear a man talking about autonomy. We practice autonomy because this is autonomy. In the National Party, we are autonomous Tobago Council. And so, my brothers and sisters, I bring to you our leader. I bring to you the next Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, the candidate for Patience Hill Signal Hill, a lady in whom we are all well pleased, stand and recognize and welcome the political leader of the Tobago Council, Honorable Tracy Davidson Celestine.
We got this. The People's National Movement vote the PNM on December 6, 2021. A pleasant good evening to everyone gathered here. How are we feeling tonight? Tobago, how are we feeling this evening? We are in fact red and ready, and of course we are bursting with energy from all of our seams. But permit me tonight to recognize at our head table, Chairman of the Tobago East Constituency and our Master of Ceremonies for this evening, Mr. Wendell Berkeley. I also want to take the opportunity to recognize all of our party executives from the Tobago Council of the PNM, and night after night we see our General Secretary and her husband gracing us with their presence, Mrs. Yolanda George Beckles and Mr. Handel Beckles. Let me also recognize all of our candidates who have come from near and far to be a part of this evening's meeting, and also permit me to recognize Vice Chairman of the Tobago Council of the PNM, Dion Isaac, all former area representatives and assemblymen who are present this evening. And of course, at our head table, let me recognize the Secretary in the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and the Environment, and our immediate former candidate for this electoral district. And of course, let me recognize the man of the moment who invited us to this place, Lawrence Hislop, the next assemblyman for this electoral district of Mason Hall, Moriah. And I sat there and I listened and I smiled and I said to myself, with all of those ideas that Lawrence has, he has better ensure that he copyright those ideas, because if he doesn't, we are sure to see them and hear them coming from the other side as well. And so today I want to take this opportunity to endorse your candidate and our candidate who will lead us into victory in this electoral district, Lawrence Hislop. A man of substance, a man who is not afraid to walk the talk, and a man who has worked endlessly within this electoral district and who comes with the able support of the two of the former area representative and of course the immediate candidate from this electoral district. And I know that Lawrence will do well as the assemblyman and the area representative, because he has a plan, he has a vision, and most importantly, he would be able to ensure that he can articulate that plan and the vision when he sits where the decisions are being made. And so in this electoral district this evening, I ask you for your support for our candidate, Lawrence Hislop. And I also want to take the opportunity to thank Kwesi Devine, Secretary and immediate former candidate, for passing on the baton to Lawrence Hislop, and for being there with him and for walking in the electoral districts day after day, night after night, and asking the people for their support as we go forth. And we know that Kwesi, as the Secretary, has been working. And let me pause to recognize the Prime Minister, Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley. Of course, he deserves a hearty round of applause for being here with us in his home village of Mason Hall and giving, of course, support to the candidate and to our campaign. And so I was making the point that I thank all of the former representatives and, of course, the immediate candidate for providing that support and for ensuring that we can knock on every door in this electoral district to get the support of the people. In this election, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking to you again from a platform of truth. We are about ensuring that you receive the information that you need so that you can make the correct decision. And that decision is to support and to vote our candidates and the People's National Movement in this upcoming election. And for those of you who have not heard yet, the election is on December 6th, 2021. And for those of you who are not yet convinced, this election is about ensuring that you protect your future. This election is about ensuring that you protect your standard of living and even your quality of that. We do not vote into office another party who is about to take a chance, whether it be at Playway, at Wapi, or whatever it is, be more fortunate with $1,000. But if you're talking about your future, if you're talking about your children's future, if you're talking about your grandchildren's future, then we cannot afford to take chances. Because 4 years is in fact a long time. And the damage that can be done to our foundation and to the fabric of this island after a period of 4 years could in fact be irreparable. And so tonight, ladies and gentlemen, those of you who are listening wherever you are, the boys on the block out there in the corners, on the streets of Mason Hall and Mariah, we are warning you to not take any chance in this election because there can be severe consequences after the 4 years. And so I sat there this evening and I listened to the message on one of the PDP's trucks passing by in the vicinity. And then I had an opportunity to scroll through social media today. And I looked and I saw the PDP candidates blaming the People's National Administration for not doing X and for not doing Y. And I listened to the message of Pastor Terry Baines on the truck indicating that he has not had an opportunity to represent the people and to ensure that their roads and that kind of things are fixed, and was, of course, begging for a chance to be voted into office to continue to representation of the people in that electoral district. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you tonight that all of that is a lie and a farce. Because the PDP had an opportunity to sit where the decisions are made. They had an opportunity to ensure that their area representatives sit around the table where the 6 People's National Movement administration representatives also sit. Because you would know after the 6-6 impasse in the Tobago House, after the elections, there were a number of ways that we looked at to come up with a solution to the current challenge that we faced. The first one was to vote in the House for the presiding officer, and then eventually the chief secretary, etc., etc. And that did not work out. We had chaos, we had Bacchanal, we had Kankatang, we had the PDP walking all around the assembly chamber, and that did not happen. And then later we determined that we are going to put aside our short-term interest for the longer-term interest, and to ensure that we both as political parties support the Tobago Autonomy Bill. And again, that did not work out. The PDP pulled their support aside for their own personal interest and did not support the interest of the people of Tobago, which is to ensure that we receive Tobago autonomy, to ensure that we obtain the legislative authority that we have been clamoring for since 1996 and beyond. That did not happen. But more than that, we thought that there could have been an amalgamation. Yes, an amalgamation. And so they penned a letter asking for us to sit around the table and for us to come up with a solution where we will have the 6 members of the PNM administration on one side and the 6 members of the PDP working together in harmony to run the affairs of Tobago. But that also did not work out as well, because their political leader of the PDP, when he saw that there was no opportunity for him to take up the position of Secretary of Finance, he did not sign on the dotted line. And it was through Facebook that we found out and understood that the deal was off the table. And so when they come to you today to tell you that they did not have a chance or an opportunity to deliver on your behalf in the respective electoral districts, tell them I say and we say that they're telling lies, because they had an opportunity to represent you. And so I saw the deputy political leader of the PDP, the lady who wants to be the Secretary of Health, standing in front of a big pothole and attempting to blame the People's National Movement administration for not fixing that pothole. But she had an opportunity. All of them had an opportunity to put people, to put island, to put country before themselves, and they refused, because they were focused on positions and they were focused on their own personal agendas. But we carried on as the People's National Movement, and we are ensuring that we deliver on behalf of the people in every electoral district throughout Tobago, whether the electoral district is manned by a People's National Movement representative or a PDP representative. And so they try to beat us all over the place. The People's National Movement is not doing anything. If we give out some food cards, it's electioneering. If we give out land, it's electioneering. If we sit down and we do nothing. But I want to tell each and every one of you that we will do as much as we can to ensure that we better the lives of every citizen in every electoral district on this island. And so when they tell you that they did not have an opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to represent you, I want you to tell them that they lie. And they, in fact, had an opportunity, and they give that up. And I just want to remind the members of the public of the campaign of the PDP. And they're about campaigning on the basis of hate. They're about campaigning on the basis of victimization. And more than that, they're about campaigning on the basis of lies. And again, in this election, they're attempting to fool us in terms of who really is the PDP. And you would have heard me say it, I think it was last night or night before, we have to ask ourselves the question, whose party is it? Is it the PDP as a party with a constitution led by several executives, or is it a one-man show? And when I looked again at their nomination documents, ladies and gentlemen, what I saw is a party that is owned by one individual. As a matter of fact, the party can be seen not as an organization, but as an individual-led arrangement. Again, the intention is to campaign on the basis of lies. Because when you look at the People's National Movement, what you see is a structured organization led by a constitution that spells out the basic rules and regulations on how this party will operate. And you cannot find that anywhere in the PDP, because it is a party that is owned by one man and a party that is owned by one individual, attempting again to fool the people of Tobago. And so in this election, ladies and gentlemen, I am saying to all of you that we are not to take the chance to put the PDP in office, because of course, Crapo smoke all of our pipes come December 7th, 2021. The People's National Movement has a plan. We have a track record of performance. We have a track record of delivery in every community, in every part of this island. And when you look around in this electoral district, you will see evidence of it. And if you drive through, you will see this lovely edifice called the Mason Hall Secondary School, delivered under the People's National Movement administration. If you're talking about health infrastructure, the most newest health center that we can find on this island is located in this electoral district in the village of Mariah, again under the People's National Movement administration.
PNM.
We were able to deliver to you recreation facilities as well, recreation upgrade in Mason Hall, and of course a brand new facility again in Mariah. People's National Movement, and I know that over the last few years or so, you would have received upgrades to your community centers as well under the People's National Movement. We created employment, daily paid contract workers. The largest team of URP officers is within this electoral district. People's National Movement, because we are about ensuring that we invest in the communities, that we invest in the infrastructure, and that we invest in human development, because we care at the end of the day. And if nothing else, you ought to vote to ensure that you protect the gains that we have made over the last 20 years or so. And we are going to ensure that with your boy, Lawrence Hislop, sitting where the decisions are made, that we will continue the development of this electoral district. And Lawrence has quite a lot of ideas that he will want to see happen in this electoral district. And of course, he spoke about the Pantent and all those other facilities that are to come, including the gas station that we have been talking about for some time, and which I now understand is on a PDP board somewhere up the road. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, we are about ensuring that we help people everywhere, that we help people every day. And so for the last 4 years, for the last 20 years, we were building the foundation, we were implementing the programs, and we were rolling out the plan of action. And that is why we were able to spend over 100 million to assist with COVID care and even COVID recovery in Tobago. And that is why we were able to spend over $29 million and counting to help the tourism sector so that they can rebound from the ravages of COVID-19. That is why we have spent over $20 million to ensure that Tobagonians in this electoral district, to ensure that Tobagonians, wherever you are, can eat. And over 6,000 Tobagonians have since received food support, and a further 2,000 have received rental assistance so that they can keep the roofs over their heads. And so we are about ensuring that we can provide the level of care to our people. And so when the naysayers come and they tell you that the People's National Movement has not done anything, and we are about distributing food cards, and we are about puppy showing and distributing things only around this election time, tell them that is the culmination of our work. Let them know we are about ensuring that we invest in the people so that you can continue to lead meaningful lives. And as I was on my way here, the Chief Secretary mentioned to me that this week over 80 acres of land will be given to 22 farmers in this electoral district so that they can continue to ply their trade.
PNM.
And so this is about an administration that cares. I just want to indicate this evening that I have had the opportunity to serve as the Secretary of Health, Wellness, and Family Development over the last 2 years. And I've observed very closely, and let me take this opportunity to salute all the hard-working medical professionals on this island at this point, because they have worked hard to keep me and to keep all of us safe. And I want to say that in our next term of office, under my leadership, we are going to work to ensure that we expand the services at the healthcare level. We are going to work to expand and to improve the service delivery within the healthcare. And our aim is to ensure that we twin the Scarborough General Hospital with a hospital in New York. Because we want to be able at the end of the day to ensure that we have an exchange of personnel. And with exchange of personnel, you can have the transfer of knowledge, you can have the transfer of skills for a more improved and better Tobago. We want to understand standards of operating procedures that will help us to reduce the wait times at the health centers and also at the Scarborough General Hospital. And more so, we want to ensure that we have professionals who could train and who could help us here with our skills delivery. And so patients can receive initial medical care at the New York Hospital and, of course, receive rehabilitative care here in Tobago. And this will all redound to the efforts to ensure that we can have health tourism on this island, because we have been talking it for quite some time now. And I want to ensure that going forward that we are able to put our monies where our mouths are. And so with that transfer of personnel, there will be the transfer of technology. And of course, all of that will benefit the people of Tobago. And by and large, we can earn foreign exchange in the process. And so with the recently opened and newly built Moriah Health Center, they too will benefit from that arrangement where we can have better medical practitioners and where we can even start treating with the whole issue of cataract surgery even right within this electoral district. And so we are focused on treating with all of the challenges. And we are focused also on ensuring that we can find a solution to the challenges that confronts us at this time. And ladies and gentlemen, members going forward, I want to indicate that we have had some challenges with our tourism sector. As a matter of fact, our tourism sector has declined based on the reports coming out from the Division of Tourism and Transportation by about 31%. Our manufacturing sector as well has had some declines to about 21% as recorded by the Division of Finance and the Economy. But this is not really as badly as we expected. But at the end of the day, our policies to ensure that we incentivize the private sector, our policies to ensure that we encourage foreign direct investment will make a significant dent and improve these indicators beyond 2021. And so with a People's National Movement administration in office, I can assure you that things will be better. I want to say that my vision is to ensure that we have a self-sufficient, well-diversified Tobago. And I see that being led in large part by the private sector. And that is why we have been talking about the creation of jobs. Over 3,000 jobs we will create going forward. And that is why we have been talking about our agricultural plans, agro-processing, and even manufacturing, so that we can further make a contribution to this economy. And our foreign direct investment plans have been announced and will continue. And we also have plans for women and for children. And today being International Children's Day, I want to take the opportunity to salute all of our children in this electoral district and all of our children throughout Tobago. And with children in mind, we have said from our platform and as a part of our plan going forward that we will have and see free daycare up to 2 children per single parent going forward, so that we can relieve the pressures of single mothers, so that they can use that funding to access training programs, so that they can use that time to lead more meaningful activities. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about ensuring that we can distribute 2,000 lots for those persons who are without land and who would want to build homes so that they can have a roof over their heads for them and their families. And so our vision is clear. We have taken into consideration the private sector and how we will incentivize them. We have taken into consideration our single mothers and how we are going to treat with them. We have taken into consideration our farmers and how we are going to invest in access roads, how we are going to distribute land, how we are going to hold their hands and provide startup capital so that they can be ready for those opportunities that are to come with Marriott and other hotels that will eventually come to this island. And so our plan is clear. We are about radicalizing the Tobago House of Assembly. We are about radicalizing the Tobago space. We are about radicalizing and ensuring that there is a plan of action for every sector and for every individual in every community going forward. And so when they come to tell you, boys on the block, PNM members, that it is time for change, you have to ask them, change from what to what? Is it that they want to move from experience to inexperience? Is it that they want us to move from stability to instability? Is it that they want to move from a healthy relationship with the central government to an unhealthy relationship that will not bring any benefits to the people of Tobago? Is it that they want to get rid of the URP and the CPEP gangs that exist in this electoral district? So what kind of change are they talking about? And so we have to ensure that if nothing else, we keep the PDP out of the halls of the Tobago House of Assembly. And as we continue on this platform, we will roll out our plan of actions in terms of how we are going to radicalize this space. Tomorrow we will be, I think it's in Bethel, and I will be talking to you about our Scarborough beautification plan. Because as I said in the launch of the campaign, Scarborough will also be taken into consideration, and you will see the first phase of that beautification plan being rolled out tomorrow. Because as I indicated to all of you, we are about taking Tobago to that next level. And that is why we need your support. We need all of you, wherever you are, to come out on December 6th and to vote solidly and only for the PNM. The Balize is the symbol. Yes, I know that we have had boundary changes, and some of us or some of you are still confused as to who your representatives will be. But all you have to do is look for the Balize.
PNM.
And once as you find the Balize and you ram that X by the Balize, you're ramming that X in support of Kenneth Tomat Punchin up there in Tobago East. You're placing that X in support of Tracy Davidson Celestine on the west in Signal Hill, Patience Hill. You're placing that X in support of Lawrence Islop here in Mason Hall, Mariah, and all of the other candidates wherever they are. Because this is about your future. This is about ensuring that we protect all of the gains that we have made. And most importantly, this is about ushering in a new and exciting Tobago that will be beneficial for all of us. And when we place that X by the Balize and all the ballots have been counted and PNM is out front in every electoral district, we can all sing, "Great is the PNM, great is the PNM. Tobago's future can and will be in good hands." I thank you, and God richest blessings.
I cannot wait for election morning. Tell them why. And dipping down to me elbow, darling. From Space to Canaan, we making it through this moment. What a reason. Higher and higher heights is all living, so we ain't leaving. No one behind, we will not desert you. Come on, protect the future. I know we can do this thing, yeah. So right now, let me fix up.
Ladies and gentlemen, you hear the leaders speak to us. I want you to give another rousing round of applause. Because when our Tobago Council leader speaks to us, you get a sense of what is there to come, and proper planning and proper development, not rambling and rabble-rousing, but facts and true leadership in pointing a correct direction to our people of Tobago. Give her a round of applause again. And remember, the symbol is the Balize. The date is December 6th, 2021. And the party is the People's National Movement.
PNM.
When you go to vote, put your X by the Balize.
PNM.
And remember, I started by telling you about the party. And I then spoke to you about the Tobago Council of the PNM. And we are a national party. National in the sense of the word that we span Trinidad and Tobago. And there's one PNM in Trinidad and one PNM in Tobago and one PNM in Trinidad and Tobago. And we do not hide who we are. So if we are in Trinidad in a meeting, if the secretaries, if the political leader Tobago Council is in Trinidad in any meeting, general council or otherwise, we are PNM. We don't hide. But we have some people who have an association with a party in Trinidad who hide in. And whilst they fail to claim them from time to time, The party in Trinidad claims them. And the chairman will speak that we have Mr. So-and-so in Tobago, so we are not afraid. And if you look at them, you recognize that they are reading from the same book. So, harass the EBC in Trinidad, harass the EBC from the Tobago counterparts. Bully the speaker in Trinidad, bully the clerk in Tobago. Barter COVID and the management of COVID in Trinidad, barter the management of COVID in Tobago. And I could go on, and when you look at the comparisons, as the Bible says, by their fruits you shall know them. And so, my brothers and sisters, we are fortunate in this party to have among us the political leader of the national party that could come comfortably, don't have to hide, and sit among us as our political leader of the People's National Movement. And we have that same political leader who is the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and who has made all of Trinidad and Tobago proud. Some people hide to say it, some people are afraid to say it, and sometimes they can't avoid saying it, that our Prime Minister have led this country manfully during this COVID period. And so, as we welcome him, as we welcome our own Mason Hall man, well, the other one rather, because we had Mr. Hislop first, as we welcome the second Mason Hall person, I want you to stand and give a Rose and Tobago welcome to Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago and our political leader of the PNM.
Thank you very much, Chairman Berkeley. Tonight I recognize all our party officers present here, and most importantly, our 15 standard bearers who would represent the People's National Movement on December 6th. You are a very special bunch of people. Today is a very special time. As I address you here tonight, having come to join you in recognition of the office I hold as leader of the PNM at the national level, and in support of your effort here in Tobago, the Tobago Island Council, ably led by Mrs. Tracy Davison-Celestin, let us not for 1 minute forget the times in which we live. We are doing this, the business, the political business, the choosing of the management of Tobago during a pandemic. Something that has not been the experience of any group of persons. No leadership in the history of this nation has ever had the responsibility of guiding our affairs in a pandemic. This is indeed a very unique situation. Today, in fact, the reports are that we've had the largest number of citizens dying from the pandemic, 28 people. And in fact, the virus is still raging through the world, through Europe, through the United States, and of course, through the Caribbean. We are not out of it, but we are, in fact, choosing to fight to survive. And all I can say to you tonight from this platform is the most important admonition I can give you. Protect yourselves from this virus. Get vaccinated. The vaccines are the only response that can give us any improvement in our physical condition to escape the ravages of the virus. Follow the health guidelines as you're spaced out here, as you mask, and as you sanitize.
do so with a vengeance in the purpose of protecting your lives. We are losing lives. We've lost livelihoods. We are defending livelihoods and lives. So tonight, whatever happens going forward, just remember that you have a personal responsibility during this pandemic, as you have a responsibility to defend Tobago from those who will lead us astray. Ladies and gentlemen, having said that in a somber tone to you, there's a period of excitement to come, and for me, I'm particularly proud to be here in support of a Mason Hall man, a Mason Hall Mariah man. Because of our party structure and the autonomy given to the Tobago Island Council, I was not involved and I have no influence over what you do here in choosing your candidates. But once I heard that a Hislop was chosen for Mason Hall, Mariah, I knew you had done well. I knew you had picked the best. And then I discovered exactly who this Hislop was. And it turns out that I'm connected to him. I better put that on the table. I'm connected to him. Long before he was born, I was connected to him. I sat in class in school with his mother. And I shared the Seventh-day Adventist upbringing with his father. How else can we get a better candidate than this one? Against that background, all I can do tonight is just shorten my speech and tell you, you could not have chosen better. Mason Hall Mariah, Providence, you could not have chosen better. But that is if we were the only organization that was vying for the authority to run Tobago's affairs. I could have walked away and said that and would have done as much as I could. Because Lawrence is an exemplary person coming from a family whose name is synonymous with excellence in not only Mason Hall Mariah, but in Tobago at large. But there's something else I have to do tonight, other than support Lawrence, and also to identify the outstanding leadership provided by Tracy Davidson Celestin in this campaign. You see, because we are not the only team involved, and because Tobagonians are likely to be led astray, I am here tonight to have a short conversation, not just with you here in Mason Hall, but the people of Tobago. And the conversation is this. We in the PNM, we don't pick up people just so and offer them to the public. We have a constitution, we have a structure, and we have a responsibility to the people, the electorate, because that electorate would rely on us to present to them people who are worthy of the authority you want to put on their shoulder. In Tobago, Tracy Davidson Celestin and the members of the PNM's leadership who formed the screening committee would have chosen about 15 candidates. At the national level, I lead a team called National Screening Committee. We screen our candidates for other elections. And I could tell you that nobody could be bold enough to want to offer him or herself at Balizé House in Trinidad or in Tobago to represent the PNM in an election while you are on a rape charge. Nobody. Because they know if that is the case, you will be soundly rejected by the PNM. Not that we're saying you're guilty, but we're saying that because you have been charged, it's because the police would have got evidence. That evidence would have gone to the Director of Public Prosecution. It would have been such evidence of such seriousness that the Director of Public Prosecution would have instructed the police to charge you. And if that is the fact, then we are saying you are not a fit and proper person to represent the PNM. But apparently Tobagoans have a different standard now. You start out with 2 seats in the first election when that situation existed. Last election, end up with 6 seats in a 12-seat assembly. Now I'm hearing it's a foregone conclusion that the PDP will win. That might very well be so. But I'll tell you something. That is why tonight, I want to speak to you not about your election and your pothole and who get a piece of land and who get a food card and who didn't do this and who didn't do that and who like who and who didn't like who. I am not involved in your business. As Prime Minister, I stay out of Tobago's business. The law keeps me out. I have a responsibility as head of the cabinet, and then I am out of your business. Tobago's business is run at the administrative level by the Tobago House of Assembly. It is the only place in this country where I am Prime Minister where there is an executive body running the affairs of that part of the country. And you all better understand that. And that is why, for this campaign, I've come with you. I was here for your lunch. I saw your candidates for the first time. I gave you encouragement, and I left you to account for your assembly work and to account for your Tobago future in the assembly. But tonight, I am here as Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. And I want to talk to you, people of Tobago, where as you crept from 2 seats to 6 seats, I don't know what's going to happen on the 6th of December, but I know what is possible, and I want to alert you to it. You see, if you don't understand what is going on, you can think you're so right. This gentleman who is putting himself forward as leader of the PDP, Farley, who is not the leader, and that should alert you that something is in the water other than the pestle. Why is the leader allowing an imposter to be campaigning as the leader? And of course, in the event that they win, you will have one as the leader and the other one as Secretary of Finance. And Tobago's difficulty will begin right there. Not that is going to happen, but we're just being theoretical. Today, Farley is calling my name and telling you that if the PNM wins the election, the Joint Select Committee bill in the Parliament will be torn up, and that will be the end of it. I don't know who authorized Farley to make decisions for me, the PNM, or the Parliament. But I tell you that because, in case you all don't know, there is a firm arrangement between those people and the UNC to give Tobago independence. And in case you all think that is a joke, twice in my time in the Parliament, there were enough seats in the Parliament to make that fundamental change, even if Tobago didn't want it. But what about if Tobago wants it and the election, in the general election, produce a result like it produced in 1986, where there were only 3 PNM people in the Parliament, and that the Constitution could have been changed, whether the PNM agree or didn't agree, it could have been changed then. The result then was 33-3. In 2010, the result was 29-12. And of course, in the last election, with all the racket that took place in this country, with members' names, parliamentarians' names being called in the court for all kind of things, they didn't lose a single vote. They ended up with 19 seats in the Parliament. What is to happen in the next election, I don't know. But what I do know, that you have a political party in Tobago led by 2 gentlemen who are people to watch. One of them is on record powerfully saying that what he is about is secession for Tobago. That is music to the ears of the UNC. The other one is counterpoint, who's saying, all right, he wants secession, but I want federalism. In other words, what exists now as the unitary state of Trinidad and Tobago, these two gentlemen, politicians who are getting political support in Tobago, want something else. As Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago and leader of the PNM, the only something else I know that the PNM is prepared to support, that the PNM is alerting you to, is the work that we have done before. Is the work that we have done before. The work that came before you as the work of a joint select committee of the Parliament, offering Tobago giant steps in improvement in your autonomy and responsibilities, restructuring the Assembly, giving you greater representation, giving you greater access to the Treasury of Trinidad and Tobago, giving you responsibility across the board, except that we have not separated by boundary Tobago from Trinidad. I have just come from a function, and one of my friends, a Tobagonian, asked me very seriously, what should Tobagonians be concerned about now? What is the major issue that they should be concerned about now going forward with respect to its place in Trinidad and Tobago? And I said to him, what Tobagonians should be concerned about now is cementing your relationship as an integral part of the nation of Trinidad and Tobago. And once you have done that, everything else is secondary. What the PDP is an opportunity to do otherwise, to give you a status other than being an integral part of Trinidad and Tobago, because they are holding out to you the prospect of a better life and a better position. I'm saying to you, Tobago, tonight, there is no better position for Tobago than an integral part of the nation of Trinidad and Tobago, and that is the PNM position, punto final. So, they have another position. And they want to do it by deception. They hide him for the election. Put Farley in front. Okay. Mark Trevor James, anyway, claiming to be an independent. And I'm here very often because I have reason to be here. I'm a Mason Holland. I'm in David Stringberry here. Right? And I'm here all the time. I pay attention. I watched the PDP brought a man here to discuss boundary between Trinidad and Tobago as an integral part of the political direction that Tobago should take vis-a-vis the government of Trinidad and Tobago. This gentleman, this independent gentleman, is a card-carrying member of the UNC, a fellow called Stephen Kangal. A card-carrying member of the UNC, but he in Tobago, under the auspices of the PDP, trying to thief your head by telling you that he knows about some boundary that you could have that could put you in a better position. And I didn't see any objection from Tobago. Apparently you all were asleep. Apparently you all don't care. You all didn't see what was going on. Why would the PDP bring Stephen Kangal here? To lie to you that he's independent when in fact he's a mouthpiece of the UNC. And under a handful of PDP leadership, have a conversation with Tobago about changing your status with Trinidad. And in an election, every time Tracy Davison talks about the PDP wanting secession, the campaign is almost over. I have not heard any objection to Tracy's statement from the PDP. Because it is on video, the audio is there, the video is there. Not the UNC, not the PDP saying that. No objection. No objection. Establish a hard boundary between Trinidad and Tobago. Then they will tear up the boundary that Stephen Kangal want to draw between Trinidad and Tobago. And that is why I've been many places. I've been around a long time. And I've had reason to be in charge of the cabinet. And from there, I could see the size of the naval string between Trinidad and Tobago. Let me just show it. Let me just talk to you about it for a minute. All the money is raised in Tobago now. Of course, you can do better. Tobago is not doing its best. We're working $1 billion. Remember that, right? But as part of the nation of Trinidad and Tobago, 200 million comes towards you from you. The salaries alone paid to the people of Tobago in the Tobago House of Assembly is $700 million. Goods and services is another $580 million. Subsidies and transfers, meaning government pays bills that you, is another $650 million. And of course, you have development programs. There are things you want to do. Every year you do a little more development. Recently, the last fix, Make Work, help you out because you can't find a job and so on. That's another $25 million. When you add up all of that, as what you get as a result of being an integral part of the nation, as compared to your 200 million, you see right away that you are better off being an integral part of the treasury of Trinidad and Tobago as against being on your own, being buffeted by storms. And that's not all you know. Government ministries, other than what comes to the THA, various government ministries spend money to service to be part of Trinidad and Tobago. That's another $788 million. The operation of the sea bridge that you take for granted, back and forth between Trinidad and Tobago and the building at the airport to be able to handle international traffic. And of course, the cost. I just mentioned those numbers so you can understand these people who are talking about secession and independence, what exactly are they offering you? And my friend asked me tonight, if Tobago goes it alone, can Tobago survive? The answer is yes. Isn't St. Vincent going it alone? But you know what one of my friends, one of my colleagues in the CARICOM told me one morning a few months ago, in the height of the pandemic? He said, every morning I go to work, first thing I do, I speak to the comptroller of accounts. And based on what he tells me about what collections they had yesterday, I will now decide what we can spend today. As a CARICOM country, very prominent CARICOM country. You could do that too. You could do that too. Your Tobago Prime Minister could do that too. And of course, any country, regardless of your circumstance, you'll survive, but survive as what? In our region, we claim, without distinction, to have one of the poorest countries in the world. Year after year, decade after decade, it's still a country with a president or a prime minister or somebody. So don't believe that, you're not going to survive. But what is the quality of life? And all of this stupid talk about what they want and what they don't want is based on some argument that we have gas outside there. Well, we've dealt with that gas, long, long ago, since Orville London was chairman, coming from the gas field off here, pipe to Tobago and our power station here, generating the megawattage that we require for the island is being utilized. And of course, if there's more to be sold to the international market, more power to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. But this idea of what is mine and what is yours is ours, right? Where is that going to take you? Over and above what I just told you there about the actual expenditure, if we look at what was said on their platform, they want their own customs, they want their own judiciary, they want their own this. As a matter of fact, to put it in his own words, we want every bloody thing. Okay? So then you, where they're taking you, will have to find money to fund our judiciary. You have to pay for national security, pay your own police. You have to pay for your own Coast Guard. You have to pay and establish your own immigration and customs. And when goods come from Trinidad to Tobago, you have to charge duty. If you remain in CARICOM, well, then it's duty-free. And of course, as an independent nation, you have to fund your foreign contacts and your foreign embassies and so on. All that costs money. And you know, while that is being pushed, as the new arrangements will be confined for careers only in Tobago, you no longer can claim positions in the public service in Trinidad. How many Tobagoans have made their way from Tobago into the public service? What have you done? No, we want our own, right here, our own. You all understand what I'm telling you? And that is the substance of the difference that they're offering you. Their campaign is we're going to fix it. What exactly are they going to fix? Go and remove Tobago as a thorn in the side of the UNC and establish themselves in the office in Tobago. And if you all think that that is out of the realm, carrying an intention to change Tobago's status. So that brings the other one is the Trinidad and Tobago Football Association, and the third one is the Tobago House of Assembly. The PSA, there were 4 presidents. I'm sure none of you here in this room could name one of those presidents, but they existed. President John Ludovich, President Worrell, President Dr. Alwyn Francis, Mr. Austin McShine, and the first female who was head of the PSA in 1970, just before they went to the one-man, one-vote, was Mrs. Ursula Gittins. I remember her as head of the PSA. Subsequently, then you had Mr. Kenny MacDonald Turner. Then Mr. Arnim Greaves, 1982. Mr. Turner was 1981-82. He died in office. Then I'm sure many of you remember Dr. Kenwick Rennie. He came in 1983. He died in office in 1992. Then you had Mr. Roland Graham, 1992. He held a short while. And then Executive President, Mrs. Jennifer Baptiste Primus. And then you had Watson Duke. All the names to strength with greater respect as the largest trading man in the country. Is that true? The minute the PSA fell into the hands of Watson Duke, all hell broke loose in the PSA. To the extent where the PSA has spent more money in the courthouse with the president fighting the members more than they spent money on the members themselves. Accusations of all kinds, court orders of all kinds, till you ended up with the staff in the PSA office being summarily fired by Watson Duke, and the court had to intervene and order him to replace. Am I telling you any stories here? Today, the PSA is a shadow of itself. And the PSA is led by a president and a handful of enablers that is an embarrassment to the public service and the people of Trinidad and Tobago. It went as far as now there are allegations of fraudulent conduct in the PSA. The president declared himself retired, got himself paid a retirement $500,000, came to Tobago and fed Tobagoans at the Magdalena launch a political party which he owns personally, and then never left the PSA. Collected retirement money What kind of organization could pay retirement money to a man? What kind of man will encourage an organization to pay him money as retirement, collect the money and spend it, and stay in the office as president? And that is the man that you all want to put in charge of the Tobago House of Assembly? But of course, you wouldn't put him in charge. He's hiding in the bottom line. You can't even make out his face in the poster. It's Fali, man, Fali. Fali. But I want to tell Fali tonight, you went to Bishops. I don't know how you come out so. Because the party is the private possession at the EBC of Watson Duke. I don't know any other political party has that. I don't know any other political party where the party is owned by a member. And all of them who used to running up and down and talking about they're going to fix it, and Tobago and Tobago and Tobago. They know that they are barnacles on the carapace of Watson Duke. Because if he doesn't want them, they're gone. They have no constitutional strength and structure in the organization. And telling you that you must put Tobago's business into that. So when he decides who he doesn't want, and that one decides, I want to stay, your business that I just mentioned to you, a multi-billion-dollar business, becomes part of the bacchanal of the nation. I worked with Patrick Manning in the cabinet as Prime Minister. He told me he had a request to receive, on a courtesy call, the head of FIFA. And he agreed to see the head of FIFA at the Prime Minister's office in Trinidad. When the time came for the visit, the head of FIFA came, accompanied by one Austin Jack Warner. Patrick Manning, and he saw the head of FIFA, but Jack Warner was outside. That general hatred you see going on there permanently, he has his root. Not qualified to bring anybody to the office of the Prime Minister where he was Prime Minister. You might have said he was harsh, he was unreasonable. But hear the story. Hear Trinidadian story. Boy, Jack is the big man in FIFA. Jack is the biggest man in FIFA. They even got a legal opinion. When Jack Warner became chairman of the UNC, hear it, eh? Patrick Manning wouldn't let him come into the office of Prime Minister. A PNM Prime Minister will not let the party. The country was okay with that. Then they won the election. He became Minister of Government. At that time, I was opposition leader. I objected to him being a Minister of Government, and I warned this country that his private conduct and his private business will disgrace this country. Didn't take me on. That was the first issue. Make him acting Prime Minister like Vanilla Allen Toppin was acting Prime Minister too. The Prime Minister's office that Patrick Manning protected. He, like Vanilla, were made to act, so they have on the CV, former acting Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. And I live to see, and you live to see, that the very FIFA of that event turn around, found sufficient wrongdoing about Jack Warner's conduct to confirm Patrick Manning's disgust and ban Jack Warner from football for life. And the very ended up as a pariah. Won every seat in Chaguanas West, every polling division in Chaguanas West. And by the next election, after the report that came in from CONCACAF, Jack Warner is out of the UNC, formed his own party, and thus ended the lesson. But the point I'm making to you, that circuitous ride of Jack Warner was not unknown to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Because one of the reasons why Patrick Manning didn't want millions of dollars, and in fact, there was a commission of inquiry into what went on in the stadium with that football match. But then we pretend that it didn't happen and we just give him a blie. That is exactly what you are doing here in Tobago today. Every single one of you. I know what you're doing. Pretending that Watson Duke and his band of merry men and women, whoever they might be, some of them don't even know what they are. right, coming to tell you that they want to run Tobago's affairs, and you pretending you don't know that they are unfit for office in Tobago. Gamble with that. Gamble with that and blame the Prime Minister. I'm not involved in this campaign. Every night on the platform is Rowley, 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 Rowley. I don't have a vote here. I'm not in all your business here. I'm not concerned about all the business here. But I'm concerned about the business of Trinidad and Tobago. I cannot tell you who to vote for. I can ask you to vote for the PNM and give you good reason. Tracy Davison has been giving you good reason every night. Lawrence Paislop will give you good reason every night. Our 15 candidates can give you good reason every night. But if you want to be in good house and let bad house call you, when you bully fair out, you're on your own. You want more of it? Yes. Well then, it brings with it certain things. Responsibility for every bloody thing, according to Duke. You pay the full rate for electricity. You pay the full rate for water. You pay the full rate for fuel. And of course, you fund your own hospital and pay doctors and nurses and police the full rate. That is what independence brings. And you know, I told you about FIFA. I told you about the PSA. Let me tell you about WASA. I found out, I knew about the PSA from public utterances and court orders. I knew about FIFA from my personal involvement in the cabinet, and of course, Jack Warner Business is public. Currently evading extradition. That was being my assignment with my cabinet team. We had hard decisions to make. One of the hard decisions we made first was the threat that Petrotrin posed to the Ministry of Finance and the country's financial system. We dealt with that. We turned our attention to WASA. It was there I discovered that with all the talk about Watson Duke being a union leader and Duke this and Duke that, I discovered that he found a way by familial contact to extract $16 million from WASA. $16 million paid by WASA to him and his interests. So my simple question is, as the minister is asking and the new WASA team is asking, what did this money get paid for? Because you paid it. You paid it. It was for fixing stopcocks. Well, WASA have a lot of cocks. And all them want fixing. And patching the road. But all of that was done in almost complete secrecy. Because with all the garrulous statements he was making, he never told you that he had arrangements in place where every month he got the biggest check in WASA paid to him. Didn't tell you that though. Never told you that. And in reading the report from WASA, something came to my attention. It was the application form that the company made to be considered for WASA contracts. Because most of these companies, if you're a company and you want to be considered, you have to fill out a standard form in the company. The form that he and his entity filled out, the form required certain bodies of information. Number of employees, 0. Number of supervisors, 0. Number of managers, 0. List of contracts done before, 1. They had done something in Tobago here, which I suspected used their influence and got something here in Tobago for $800,000. On that basis, this company qualified to be pieces of equipment owned by the company. 1 jumping jack. You know what jumping jack is? Those little things, when you dig up, you jump up and down, pong the ground. 1 jumping jack and a used piece of equipment, I think, because a backhoe or something like that. And that was able to extract from a company that is being supported by $2 billion of taxpayers' money every year. I could tell you because I'm head of the cabinet, every Monday morning, taxpayer had to pump money into a $2 billion every 12 months. And he extracted from that situation $16 million and counting. I want to ask you people in Tobago, do you see any concern in what I just told you and the running of the Tobago House of Assembly on the 7th of December? Do you see any interest that you should have as to whose hand you will put your business in on the 7th of December? And if it is that you have issues, I have heard Tracy Davis say, a woman from Patience Hill told us something, and I want to tell it to you here now. If you have a problem with your wall, or your drain, or your pothole, or your late payment of a grant, if that makes you think that PNM is the problem, I simply want tonight in Mason Hall to tell the people of Mason Hall and Moriah. I could talk for Moriah, and I started my schooling in Moriah. And I went very far as a result of that. When I come from top of the hill, you could go very far. Mason Hall and Moriah, you have the option to go to the polling station on the 6th of December and vote a decent young man into office to represent you. I see the UNC in Trinidad dressing in black all of a sudden. All of a sudden the UNC dressing in black. You know why? That is attempting to send a subliminal message to you here in Tobago as to who they're supporting. That is what that black is about, you know. And of course, you on the placard, as they're walking in black in Trinidad, talking to you in Tobago, they're telling you on the placard, democracy is dead. Well, I could tell all of them in black, all just for funeral, but there's no death because Tobago is alive and well, and the people of Tobago are smart and sensible, decent and honest. It is your choice, it is your option, it is your opportunity in this live and alive democracy. When he was speaking for the PSA sometime not too long ago, he shouted an order to me as Prime Minister, giving me a deadline that I must instruct the Minister of Finance to pay every public servant $10,000 by the end of the month. Because if I didn't do that, what you going to do and what you ain't going to do? Of course, running the affairs of Trinidad and Tobago, I was too busy to pay attention to Watson Duke and his foolishness. Under normal circumstances, a person campaigning and offering money to the electorate should be accused of offering a financial inducement, especially when he tells you clearly the money is for nothing. It's money just so. Right? But what you all should think, where the money going to come from? Where is that money going to come from in the event that they win and he does that? And he takes the nurses' money or the teachers' money and do that. And then he's going to shout at me in Trinidad and say, Rowley and send the money and PNM suffer in Tobago. If that is the road all you intend to walk, all you are alone with that, you know. If that is where you all are going and putting you on notice, no, this country is not being run like that and will not apply. And if there are those who believe, as I heard it said, that the THA could do what they want with public money, or look at believe that is all you wish. What the THA could do is to choose to spend the money in a particular way, but having spent A money on B, DEF don't come shouting. What you are being offered there is gross disorder and misconduct. And if you vote in support of that, you're on your own. Any excuse to come and say, Adotish, So we're not far from election day. You're not far from making a turn at the fork of the road. You're at the junction. You could stay as an integral part of Trinidad and Tobago where you have the best of all worlds. You are the only part of this country with a... And that's one of the problems the UNC have. The UNC is not convinced that the Tobago House of Assembly arrangement, where you have a portion of the budget allocated to you, and all that you get, and as they spell it out here for this election, you think they're happy with it in their camp? What they're saying and what they say to me all the time is that you're getting too much. Nowhere in Trinidad is there an executive body like the Tobago House of Assembly, and for good reason, because this country is Trinidad and Tobago, not Trinidad and Mova, Trinidad and Pinal. And that is what is under challenge. That is what is under challenge at independence. I was a boy at independence when there were some voices saying to Dr. Williams what the name of the country will be. When they went to Marlborough House to discuss our independence, there was some people who were thinking that we should change. Said no, and the people of Tobago said no. We want Tobago to be identified in the nation as an independent entity, Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and... There's no country called Trinidad unless Watson, Duke and Farley and them separate Tobago from Trinidad. It is Trinidad and Tobago. And on that basis, and the progress you've made all along, even though you came up against a wall with these people who don't know the way. And so we bring to you the work of a joint select committee, offering you a lot of what you don't have now, including additional monies, additional opportunities, and the UNC rejected it, and the Tobago PDP rejected it. I will say to you tonight as Prime Minister, the bill is in the Parliament. Sometime in the not too distant future, there will be a different opposition leader, a different opposition party, a different opposition position on Tobago, and the PNM will be there to work with that opposition to give Tobago what Tobago ought to get. Because it is the PNM at a PNM convention that wrote into the records of this party that we support internal self-government for Tobago. It is the PNM that took your bill your draft bills to the Parliament. It is the PNM in majority that supported the work of the Joint Select Committee. It is the PNM. We don't win. If you don't win the election, that will be torn up and an end be put to it. You're fast and out of place. Because you have done nothing except to try to negotiate something for yourself in the discussions. Want to figure out how to become chief secretary without being the leader of a party. And then coming and talking about if they don't win, Tobago's aspirations of internal self-government will not be met. Will not have it without the PNM standing in the way of those who will prevent you from having it, and the PNM is deceit, dishonesty, and vaulting ambition by the uninitiated. That's what you will get. Nor the leader in Trinidad. We have not presented to you. You get more than you expected. I had to fight the UNC to get the government of Australia to support the government of Trinidad and Tobago to pay for those 2 ferries. They wrote the Australian opposition asking them to intervene and prevent Malcolm Turnbull from allowing Australia to buy those ferries, to give us access to those ferries. And the 2 Coast Guard vessels. I hear Farley talking about what they could do and what they could do about fishermen and fisheries. Those 2 Coast Guard vessels that we are commissioning now that go into service, that's the best chance we have of protecting our fisheries off our east and north coast. We're not talking, we're doing. And while they're fishermen, if you don't have vessels that could go off there and be out there in the Atlantic Ocean to see who is coming and who is going and who's fishing and who's not fishing, what talk of Farley in Tobago is of any use? Those vessels we bought from Australia, they have an endurance of 28 days. It means they're designed to go into rough water, They can go out there and be on patrol for 1 month before they come back in. That's what we bought. That's what we paid for. That's what the UNC was asking the Australians not to pay for. And when the opposition in Australia intervened, the Australian Attorney General replied to them, telling them, if you have evidence of pass to any police, it was just damage and destruction they were after. And today they come telling you about they are favorites for election in Tobago. You make them favorites. You go and make them favorites. After all that kind of record, you go and put... I just want to remind you all, I'm standing in front of you tonight in Mason Hall as the Member of Parliament for Diego Martin West since 1991. And the opposition leader is adamant, marching up and down Pinal, that she wants to win something. Someone, you will contest it, you might very well win it, because at least you deserve to win something. But in Tobago, divine providence might have intervened in January and create that 6-6. As I'm concerned, we in the PNM, we'll accept all 15. We have an excellent team of candidates. You are led by an excellent leader. By the way, when I was campaigning with you in January, Tracy did thief or didn't thief from the zip line. Whatever happened to that? Like the zipline bus. But that was the campaign the UNC gave them to smear Tracy. And many of you here in Tobago, I watch you talking about zipline, zipline. You're so gullible to UNC foolishness. Zipline, zipline. I look at it myself, you know. The report has nothing to do with any person identified individually. So next election, by happenstance, comes 10 months later, and they lost interest in the zip line. You know why? Because Tracy has sued the little runt. And he's afraid now to speak about it because the documents he was waving and going to give the DPP and give the police and all that, there's something called aggravated damages. When you get sued for slander or libel, if after you get notice that you're going to be sued, you carry on with it, there's something called aggravated damages. That's why Farley is so silent on zipline now. The same zipline that many of you in Tobago here voted against the PNM, and Tracy came here with her exemplary conduct and experience and performance as a young person who grew up in the Tobago House of Assembly. And you all go running behind a man who, on a rape charge, but smearing Tracy on a lie from the UNC. Tobago, I continue to be proud of you. Let us all continue to be proud of ourselves. Thank you and good night.
We don't want no bad vibes in the land. Because I, whether me ready up for the task. Because I, whether I'm ready to come, whether I'm ready to wave, whether I'm ready to vote, ready to make we name, all ready to fight hard and fear God from up.
Yes, my brothers and sisters, I told you this is a national party. You have heard the leader of the Tobago Council of the PNM. You have heard the political leader of the PNM. And you know now that we are on the right track and heading for victory. We have the right leadership in place. We have the right party in place. We have the best candidates in place. And therefore, we have to take all this goodness into the Tobago House of Assembly on December 6th. And so remember again, the symbol is the Balize. The party is the People's National Movement, the PNM. The date is the 6th of December, and the pride. What a good time we had. All those in radio land and in television, who's watching on the television, I know you would have had a good time listening to the facts. And so we are going to be in Bethel tomorrow night, Montgomery on the hard court grounds. at 6 o'clock, we are starting again with the continuing of the education program. And we have a barrage of speakers again, including our MP for Tobago West. And you know that nobody lives. My brothers and sisters, you have been good. Remember to vote on December 6th. And let us all, at the end of all of this, and all of saving, we shall prevail. Just one thing before you leave, there is some refreshments here, and they are asking that we avoid the close-up situations in collecting the refreshments. So we would like people to continue to observe the COVID regulations, ensure that you collect your stuff, you maintain your distance, and that you file out and filter out if you got to talk about a pandemic, and we still have to save the lives of all of us. So folks, have a safe journey home. We see you tomorrow night again, and we continue the journey tonight.
Team up.